The Atlanta Hawks are finally contenders again. Let's go, Hawks fans. We finally made it. I've probably only been excited for a season like twice in the last 8 years, and the two times were one after our playoff run when we decided to do nothing, but I was fine with running it back. And then not only did we get hit with injuries, but also COVID. And while every other team with COVID was delaying their game so that they could play them fairly, the Atlanta Hawks were starting a guy, Chaundi Brown, and just decided, hey, we're just going to sign two-way guys to be in the key rotation so that we can play our games as fast as we can, I guess? Because Chaundi Brown, a guy we started a couple games, that was his only NBA season ever, and he was a starter for us. So that was the 2022 season, and then after that, we traded for DeJounte Murray, and I was excited again. I had my hopes up again. I was hoping, hey, he's the key to our problems, and then he wasn't that good of a defender. He wasn't a good shooter. He wasn't a good fit. We sucked after that too. So ever since the Trey Young era has started, I've never been excited for a season that actually worked out for the Hawks, until hopefully now. So far, the Hawks this offseason, they've gotten Kristaps Porzingis. They've gotten a future valuable first-round pick for next year, the best pick between the Bucks and the Pelicans. They signed Nickeil Alexander Walker, and then they signed Luke Kennard. I want to talk about each of these transactions separately, but first off, Anzi Saleh, I don't know how to say our new GM's name, but he is a hero. Apparently, he was behind the Dyson Daniels trade, as well as the Riza J draft pick, I think. I mean, we can never really confirm this, but apparently he was making some moves over Landry Fields last year. And now that he's officially the GM, we know that he's definitely under these moves, and these moves have been amazing. I mean, the fact that we're likely going to be a really good team in the East while not giving up any young pieces, while getting better young pieces in the future is absolutely crazy to me. That pick, I'm really hoping is valuable. I'm recording this during day 2 of free agency, so you never know what more moves the Bucks make or moves the Pels make, but they're both looking pretty bad. I mean, Miles Turner's a good center and an upgrade on Brook Lopez, but all the Bucks did besides that was bring back everyone who sucked last year. Thinking back, this is like the first time ever that Trey Young actually has a team constructed to fit him. There's only 2 bad defenders on the entire roster, and that is Trey Young, who is one of the best offensive engines you could ever ask for, and then Luke Kennard, a guy who, yes, he is a cone, but he shot 44% from 3 last season, and is overall throughout his career, I believe, a 40% three-point shooter. And if he's not, he's definitely guarded like one, which will definitely help the spacing. Also, there was a report saying that Trey Young and the Atlanta Hawks front office are not done making moves. But I'm just going to assume that any move we make after this isn't going to be something drastic where all of a sudden we're Eastern Conference favorites or all of a sudden we're going to be way worse. Unless it's a Giannis trade, which I don't see happening. But we are right now the current betting favorite to get Giannis if he is traded. And I would give credit to the Hawks front office for letting Trey Young make, or have a big impact on some of the moves that have been made this offseason, because apparently that's what has been happening with Nickeil Alexander Walker, with Luke Kennard. But I'm pretty sure a couple years ago, Trey Young wanted DeJounte Murray. So I don't want Trey Young being our GM. But knowing that our star player has signed off on a lot of these moves is definitely a plus. Our first move was Kristaps Porzingis coming to Atlanta for Terrence Mann, Georges Niang, and that 22nd overall pick that we had. And Porzingis, I think he's going to add so much to the Hawks as long as he stays healthy. I mean, his offensive skill set might be like the best Trey Young's ever played with. I mean, maybe, hopefully, Jalen Johnson in the future, but we talk about a 7'3" guy who can shoot the ball from 27, 28 feet out. A guy who, in the past on the Knicks, has been more of a post guy, can take advantage of mismatches. Overall, he's like probably the tallest guy the Hawks have employed since Dikembe? I mean, I love Onyeka, don't get me wrong, and Capella I did love at a certain point, but those were shorter centers. I feel like the only tall center the Hawks had in the Trey Young era so far was Dwayne Dedmon, who, it's Dwayne Dedmon, come on. But yeah, Porzingis is going to play very different on the Hawks than he did on the Celtics. The Celtics really were like a 5-out kind of team versus I think he'll now be a legitimate pick and roller or pick and popper guy next to Trey Young. I think Trey's going to elevate him just like Luka did. And let's just hope that it doesn't end like that Mavericks tenure where Porzingis just kept getting hurt come playoff time. And yeah, getting rid of that 22 overall pick kind of sucked, but, because of this next trade I'm about to talk about, it wasn't that big of a deal. And Terrence Vang was a bad contract. Georges Niang wasn't a bad contract, but that dude was a cone sometimes. I think anyone could have scored on him. There's a reason his nickname is the minivan. I mean, look at the way he's built. So overall, I love that trade, especially because Porzingis is on an expiring contract. So if he does play bad or if he does get hurt, then we can either just let him go in the offseason next year or we can sign him back. So that's just some flexibility that we have. Then trading back from pick 13 to 23 to get an unprotected first round pick for 2026. I love it because this team still is young. I mean, Trey Young isn't that young, but we have Jalen Johnson, we have Riza J, we have Dyson Daniels. We could use a really good prospect next year, and if somehow the Bucks or the Pelicans pick wins the lottery, and we could get like a Dybonsta, we can get a Cam Boozer. I know there's a third guy who's like really good. I forget. I think it's Darren Peterson. but that would really help the core. And then we drafted Asa Newell, who, I mean, I'm a Georgia fan, so I like him, and I do love his fit next to Trey Young. I don't think he was like the best prospect ever, because his shooting is very questionable and just his offensive skill set in general. But I mean, let's hope he could be kind of like a John Collins. I mean, I think he will be a better defender no matter what. But yeah, if he can get the shot going, get the feel, maybe get some playmaking, then he could be really good. And I think the only prospect that I really wanted that we missed out on was Carter Bryant. Well, also I'm super high on Derek Queen, but I think of him as a 4, and I actually I love Mo Gay already, which might sound stupid because offensively he is not good. But if he ever gets the offense going, he's already one of the best like 3 or 4 defenders on the Hawks. So another win, and then we were going into free agency, and I was just thinking, like, man, I understand we have this trade exception, but I do not want to overpay anyone. And if we were going to overpay someone, I wanted him to have like a super high potential, maybe like a Trey Mann, maybe like a Quentin Grimes or something. But the fact that we got Nickeil Alexander Walker, who is an elite defender, for only $16 million a year over 4 years, I think is amazing. Because I was really like, if we had to pay him $25 million a year, we paid him the whole trade exception, I would have been pretty pissed. But $16 million a year is nothing. If he ends up not being that good, you can trade $16 million. And I think he will be pretty good. I think he's a very inconsistent offensive player, but he can cut and he can shoot. And that's kind of like all he can do. But he is a good secondary playmaker. He's not a point guard, in my opinion, even though I think he came into the NBA as a point guard. But he's definitely like a 2 or 3 guy. Decent playmaker, but overall just a good defender. And that's what we need around Trey. Hopefully he's not a fake defender like DeJounte was, but he is, just a bench piece, and he should be a better catch and shooter than DeJounte Murray, even though in the playoffs he was very wishy-washy. Like some games going 0 for 6, some games going 5 for 6. So we'll see. Maybe Trey Young is a better playmaker than Ant, and we'll get him more open probably. So we'll see how that goes. But when we signed Alexander Walker, I texted my friends and I'm like, dude, if Trey Young leads this team to a top 10 offense, then he's just like the best point guard in the league, because we had like no offensive guys. But then we signed Luke Kennard, who is, an elite shooter. And I'm not saying like he's not going to play that many minutes. He might play, 17, 18 minutes a night, maybe even less. But overall, having someone who's that good of a shooter, that much of a threat, it's only going to help Trey, especially if Trey goes down with an injury for a couple games. If we didn't have Luke Kennard, we'd have like 0 super positive shooters outside of Porzingis. And yeah, the only problem with the roster right now is we don't have a backup small forward, because right now I have the projected depth chart being Trey Young starting at the 1, Dyson at the 2, Reese J at the 3, Jalen Johnson at the 4, Kristaps Porzingis at the 5, and then backups, Buffkin at the 1, Nickeil Alexander Walker at the 2, Vic Krejci at the 3, Mo Gay at the 4, and then obviously Okongwu at the backup 5. And a couple of things with this. Asa Newell's not in this. I do think he will be in the G League the entirety of the season, which for the most part for the Hawks has really worked out. Now, the only time it didn't work out, having our rookie play in the G League the whole year was Jalen Johnson's rookie year, in my opinion, because if Jalen Johnson played his whole rookie year with the Hawks in the rotation and showed playmaking promise, then maybe we don't trade Kevin Huerter for DeJounte Murray, because, the reason we lost to the Heat so bad that year was because of a lack of playmaking. But outside of that, being in the G League your entire first year has worked out for the Hawks. So develop there. I think Mo Gay has already showed a lot of potential, especially defensively, but even offensively. You're still next to Trey Young. You're going to get some good looks. He is still 6'11" at the power forward spot. So yeah, if you do run Trey Young and Luke Kennard in a lineup, you might want to have Mo Gay at the 3 or at the 4. Just strictly for defense and size. But yeah, backup small forward being Vic Krejci. I do like Vic Krejci. I wouldn't mind if we started the season with him as the backup 5. Now, I'd probably prefer to get someone better, but dude, Vic Krejci the last 2 seasons has been a shooter. I think he ended last season as a very good piece where I think he deserved more minutes. But of course, we had Terrence Mann and Georges Niang and Karis LeVert. I'm happy for their tenure that they had with the Hawks, because we did step it up the second that we traded for them. But I'm also glad they're gone. And also, by the way, yes, I still do believe in Kobe Buffkin. I think that 2 years ago, he was, in his rookie season, when he only played like 17 games for us later in the year, he was our best defender. He was the best defender on the entire team. The way that he rotated, the way that he got steals, the way that he played on-ball defense, point of attack defense, the way he got over screens, he was the best defender. And now we have Dyson, we have Nickeil, we have all these guys where maybe you do want someone a bit more offensive minded, but if you're playing a lot of your minutes next to Luke Kennard, then we need a defensive guard, and that's who he is. Oh, I guess I didn't have Canard in that depth chart, but no, he's there. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe you could put Alexander Walker at the backup 3 and then Canard at the backup 2, Buffkin at the 1. I think that would work out. Ideally, you want more size, but I still like it. And also, Kobe Buffkin has had to deal with a lot of injuries in his career so far. Like, I don't think he's actually been given a proper chance to prove himself. Now, do I kind of still want another backup point guard in case he doesn't work out? Maybe. Because even though I think he deserves another chance, I'm not saying it's a guarantee he'll still be good, but he was my 8th best prospect in that year. And I'm not some draft expert who gets everything right, but I'm still pretty confident that he, in a redraft, if the injuries didn't happen so far, he's a top 10 prospect. I would take him top 10. So I still believe in him.
Second Hawks video made over my last 3 videos. So yeah, I'm talking about the Hawks a lot. They are my favorite team. I'm probably not going to make another video for another like month or 2 unless we get Giannis somehow, because there's no other move that would really move me like that. And I'll probably make a video about how all the pressure's on Trey Young because he finally has the team around him and he needs to prove himself. But yeah.
Overall, I'm projecting the Hawks to be a top 5 team in the East, like bare minimum top 5. I think we're in conversations with the Cavaliers, with the Magic, with the Sixers, who the Sixers weren't even good last year. So maybe I shouldn't be putting them in this conversation, but the talent is there. Cavs, Magic, Knicks, 76ers, Hawks. Now, I'd probably project them around like number 4 right now. Maybe if we get a better backup 3, maybe it can go up. But overall, we're in that conversation. We have a legitimate chance to win the East. I don't know if we'll beat the Rockets or the Thunder, but I still think that when there's a chance that you make it to the finals because you're better than all the East teams, there's a chance you win the finals. So we're contenders. I don't care, even though we're definitely not better than Houston or OKC. But I am so excited, not only for next year, but just for the future of the Hawks. Like, we're now making good moves. I want to be one of those franchises where most of the moves they make are good. We've made a lot of bad moves in the past, and things are changing around. So let's go. Trey Young, no more excuses. Lock in. It's not some sort of failure if we don't make the Eastern Conference Finals, but that's what I'm rooting for realistically. I think it can be done, unless obviously like some injuries happen or whatever. But as a Hawks fan, I'm due to be happy, and I'm happy right now. They paid my dues. I am forever grateful for this new Hawks front office. If you guys enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, or don't. You have free will. Peace out.